Looking at our world from a theological perspective. This is the Theology Central Podcast, making theology central.
Good evening, everyone. It is Friday, May the 7th, 2021. It is currently 7:27 p.m. Central Time. And yes, I'm here in the sanctuary of Victory Baptist Church located in Ovalo, Texas. I know I'm not typically here on a Friday evening, but this morning we had just kind of a small technical problem, and I wanted to come out here and ensure that I could detect what was going on and fix it before it got worse. We think it's been fixed. We had to do some updates to some software. Everything seems to be running smoothly this evening. But since I'm here, I wanted to make sure everything was working right. Never waste an opportunity, right? If you're here, and when I walk into the building and I see the microphone here, I'm like, well, I've got to go talk. It's like, it's calling me. It's like, hey, turn me on and talk to people about whatever. You always have something to say, and I always have something to say. So we just had an interesting discussion, if you heard the previous live broadcast, about society, where half of Americans think that they're the best person they know. Out of everyone they know, they're the best person, and they think everyone is good. They think they're a good person. It's just an interesting example of the worldview that most people in society has, and then we compare that to a biblical worldview, and then I challenge Christians to really look at themselves. Well, here for this very brief broadcast, I am going to make this brief, and the reason I'm going to try to make this brief is because I'm going to try not to do the work. I'm going to try not to do the work for you here. This is a Bible study exercise. Sometimes in the Bible study exercises, I do like 95% of the work. Sometimes I do less, but the goal is always to get you from a passive listener to an active learner, getting into the scriptures and looking at them for yourself, struggling with things, all right? So let me ask you a question. Did Jesus lie? Did Jesus tell a lie? Now, if you've been within Christianity for any length of time, if you've gone to church for any length of time, your obvious answer is like, no, obviously Jesus did not lie. He's the eternal Son of God. He is true God and true man. And God is holy, holy, holy. God cannot lie. God does not lie because lying is a sin, and God is holy and he's without sin. Jesus Christ himself, he is in fact, if we read from Hebrews, I can just read it for you myself. Just read it here. Hebrews chapter 4, verse 14, speaking of Jesus, and the text will show you that's who it's speaking of. So Hebrews chapter 4, verse 14, speaking of Jesus, seeing then that we have a great high priest that is passed into the heavens, Jesus, the Son of God, let us hold fast our profession, for we have not a high priest which cannot be touched with the feeling of our infirmities, but was in all points tempted like as we are, yet without sin. Jesus is our high priest, and he is without sin. So we immediately would say, well, obviously he could not lie. Obviously he could not lie because Jesus is God. God is holy. God does not lie. God, because lying is a sin, Jesus is without sin. And so therefore we would be like, so that's a foolish question. Next, and we would immediately move on. But I want you to stop and just consider something. Now, you got to hear me out here. If there's a text of Scripture that seems to indicate that Jesus lied, now you could just rely on all of that other information that we just referred to. You could go to Hebrews 4 and say, well, he's without sin, therefore he could not have lied, so clearly he's not lying there. You could, God does not lie, God is holy. You could build, and Jesus is God. You could go on and build a case saying, obviously Jesus did not lie. But to do that, listen to me carefully, you're taking a concept, and then you're taking that concept and coming to a passage that may seem to indicate something other and say, well, it can't mean that because look at this passage. I understand that's a way a lot of people like to do things, but I like to challenge you to do something else. Lay aside all of that information and just look at a text that some people believe gives an example of Jesus doing that very thing, Jesus telling a lie. And then I want you to work, not going to these other passages saying, well, no, this proves he didn't lie. No, don't do that. I want you to look at the text itself and try to exegete the text to see if you can come to a solution about the possible lying problem and see if you can solve it without just saying, well, it can't mean that because look at that scripture over there. Well, it can't mean that. Look, I understand that sometimes comes into play. It definitely does. For now, all I want you to do is consider the text in front of us and then see if you can resolve the problem just based off the text itself. Now, let me explain what happened. I was driving here to church. I turned on Christian radio, and someone called into Christian radio and said, hey, last night I was reading my Bible, and Jesus lied. And I don't think it can mean that. So can you answer it for me? And their answer was pretty weak. Their answer was pretty pathetic. Now, the caller was like, thank you. That cleared it up completely. And I'm driving the car going, if that cleared it up for you completely, then you shouldn't even have bothered asking the question because clearly you were not trying to find an answer. What you just wanted to do is you're like, uh-oh, that looks like Jesus lied. Tell me something. I'm good to go. I'm good to go. I'm good to go. That's not out. No, when the text presents a problem, we don't just go, well, nope, can't mean that, move on. No, we actually deal with the problem, no matter how comfortable it makes us, no matter how difficult it is. So, did Jesus tell a lie? Now, the text that many people, even in church history, there have been those who try to say, see, Jesus didn't tell the truth here. There have been those in church history who've even tried to use this text to make that claim. Skeptics and critics and non-believers have used this text in many publications and articles to try to indicate Jesus lied. Therefore, if Jesus lied, he was just a man. He was not deity. He was not God, and he was a sinner. Right? So, but they use this text to try to prove all of that he wasn't deity, he was just a man, and he was a sinner. Does this text support that? Where you need to go is the Gospel of John. The Gospel of John. All right? The Gospel of John, chapter 7. Gospel of John, chapter 7. Now, I'm going to ignore the immediate context because I just want you to see what appears to be a problem. Now, I know what you're thinking. So the immediate context is going to completely clear this up. I'm not going to say, I don't know if it will completely clear this up, but I think it's definitely, I think the context may be of some help, but I want you to look at this, all right? Here we go. John chapter 7. Here we go. John chapter 7, verse, where do we want to go? Let's see here. Let's go, see here. Where do we want to go? Let's go to verse 8. John chapter 7, verse 8. I'm trying to see if there's some extra verses that I want to read to you, but I do not. And also, I was getting distracted because it appears that there's a few people walking in our parking lot, and I don't know what's going on. So I don't know if they're getting ready to come to the door, which would interrupt a live broadcast. So, but we'll wait and see. All right, here we go. All right, John chapter. I'm looking, going, what's going on out there? All right, John chapter. That's distracting when you're live on the air. Okay, John chapter 7, verse 8. All right. Now, in some ways, I want to go back and pick up the context, but let's just say this. John chapter 7, verse 8, Jesus is speaking. And Jesus says this, go ye up unto this feast. I go not up yet unto this feast, for my time is not yet full come. All right. So Jesus says, you go on up to the feast. I'm not going. Now, please note, this is very important. The King James uses the phrase, not up yet. Not up yet. Unto this feast, for my time is not yet full come. But then look what happens in John chapter 7, verse 10. But when his brethren was gone up, then went he also up unto the feast, not openly, but as it were in secret. Now, wait a minute. Hey, you go on up. I'm not going to the feast. And then just a few verses later, he's going up, and he's going up secretly. He's going up in secret. Now, why did he say, go, I'm not going, and then he shows up later? Is that not lying? Now, the way some people get out of this is verse 8 is from the King James. Go up unto this feast. I go not up yet. Some say the way to get around this is right there. He's just saying, look, You go now. I'm not going now. I'm not going yet. I'm not going right now. You just go ahead. I'm not going right now. Right? So it's like, hey, do you want to eat? Well, you go ahead and eat. I'm not going to eat right now. And then later you show up to eat. Maybe 2 hours later, 3 hours later, whatever. 5 hours later, whatever. Then you show up because you want food. That doesn't mean you were lying. You're just like, I wasn't ready to go now. That's how some people interpret this. However, there are those who argue. In fact, I'll pull up just some commentaries here just so that you'll see what I mean here. The yet, this is just one commentary, the yet is of doubtful authority, though it is found in some early manuscripts and versions, and the more so because it removes an apparent difficulty. Without it, the words do not involve a change of purpose. Okay, so let me read this again. So the yet is of doubtful authority, though it is found in some early manuscripts and versions. Right? And the more so because it removes an apparent difficulty. So the yet is there. They say it's of questionable authority. Some people believe it shouldn't be there. Some people believe it should be there. Now, this is one of those situations where you have what we will call a textual variant. Well, where you have a phrase or a word that is used in some manuscripts and it's not used in other manuscripts. So if we remove the yet, do we have Jesus telling a lie? So let's remove the yet and see what occurs, right? Let's remove the yet and see what happens, all right? In fact, I may have to pull up some other translations, just see how other translations, well, that will be an interesting thing to do. We'll look it up here in a minute and see how many English translations put the word yet. I said this was going to be brief, and you see what I'm getting ready to do. I'm about ready to start trying to teach this to you. I'm trying to stop myself. All right, but I'm going to try. All right, here we go. John chapter 7, verse 8. Let's read it without the yet. Go ye up into this feast. Go ye up unto this feast. I go not unto this feast, for my time is not yet full come. Now, if you remove the yet, do you still possibly get the same idea? Let's try this. So go ye up unto the feast. I go not unto this feast, for my time is not yet full come. I'm not going to this feast because my time has not yet come. Now, is he saying he's not going to that feast, period? Or he's not going to that feast now because his time is not yet full come? Even if we remove that yet, that last phrase, for my time is not yet full come, seems to indicate the reason I can't go now is because it's not my time. Now, if you go back for context, look at this. This is very interesting. All right. Let's go back to John chapter 7, verse 1. After these things, Jesus walked in Galilee, for he would not walk in Jewry because the Jews sought to kill him. So in other words, he walked after these things, Jesus walked in Galilee, for he would not walk where the Jews were because they were seeking to kill him. Right. So he chose to walk in Galilee and not be around the Jews because the Jews were trying to kill him. Now the Jews' feast of tabernacle was at hand. His brethren therefore said unto him, Depart hence and go into Judea, that thy disciples also may see the works that thou doest. For there is no man that doeth anything in secret, and he himself seeketh to be known openly. If thou do these things, show thyself to the world. For neither did his brethren believe in him. Now that gives us some indication when they were saying, hey, go up there and do these things. Nobody does these things in secret. Go show yourself. They were doing it in a mocking way. And then look what Jesus says, even before we get to the questionable verse. Then Jesus said unto them, My time is not yet come, but your time is always ready. The world cannot hate you, but me it hateth, because I testify of it that the works therefore are evil. Go up unto this feast. Okay, you go on up. Right? But he's already just established, my time is not yet come. My time is not yet come. You go to the feast. I go not unto this feast, for my time is not yet full come. So it's not my time. Now you could argue, he's saying, look, it's not time for me to go to the feast. Or you could argue that he's saying, it's not my time to go to the feast in the same way that you are going. I'm going to go in a different way. I'm doing all the work for you, are I not? So what? I think the yet there, so some people say, well, the yet is there, that should fix it. But I think even if you remove the yet, the immediate context seems to be dealing with a specific time. When is the right time? Seems to be the context. So the textual variant doesn't cause us too many problems. Let's do something. I'm gonna go back here really quick. I'm gonna open up Bible Hub here. John 7:8. I'm going to open up Bible Hub. I'm basically doing all the work for you. Okay, here we go. Here's how the English translations handle this. New International. You go to the festival. I'm not going up to this festival because my time has not yet fully come. All right, that kind of removes the yet, but it uses that last phrase really to answer the question. You go. My time has not yet fully come. All right, a New Living Translation. You go on. I'm not going to this festival because my time has not yet come. English Standard Version, you go up to the feast. I'm not going up to this feast for my time has not yet fully come. So even if you remove the yet where the King James Version puts it, the context of the verse seems to be saying, hey, you go. I'm not going because my time has not come. All right. Go up to the feast on your own. I'm not going up to the feast because my time has not yet come. All right. Now, again, the King James says, go unto the feast. I go not up yet unto this feast, for my time is not yet full come. The argument is about that first yet. Again, it's in some manuscripts, some versions, some it is not. That's the argument. Remove it, and I think you can still prove the same point with context and with that last phrase. So let's go back down to one of the commentaries, right? The yet is of doubtful authority, though it is found in some early manuscripts and versions, and the more so because it removes an apparent difficulty. Without it, the words do not involve a change of purpose, and people's often repeated charge of fickleness has no real ground. Some people say Jesus is kind of just being fickle here. I'm going, okay, then I'm not going, and then he's going. So that some people won't even refer to it as a lie, but I think it becomes possible. It becomes very questionable that he would be lying if we don't look at the context there. It says he is not going up into the feast in the sense in which they intend openly with the usual caravan from Galilee. Another going up publicly as they intended, and with an issue, the dark passage of which now crowd upon him is present in his mind. And with an issue, the dark so in other words, if you look at the context, they're like, hey, go up and be open about it. And he doesn't want to go and be open about it right now because his time has not yet come. What time has not yet come? His time to be killed? Because John 7 says that the Jews are trying to kill him. So is that why he goes in secret? Hey, you go, I can't go now because my time has not yet come. What time? It's not time for him to be crucified yet. That seems to make perfect sense here. All right. Let's see, where am I at? It says, I'm looking here where we want to read. Ye go ye up to the feast. I go not up to the feast. The verb is in the present, and its meaning does not exclude a going up afterwards. They were then going. The caravan was preparing to start. I'm not going up now. The time is coming, but is not yet fully come. All right. So there is one possible answer. I think we just stumbled upon the deeper answer. I think we actually just stumbled upon the deeper answer. And so I'm going to give you something to do here. I was going to give you to figure this out, and I think I just figured it out for us. All right. But here we go. So let's take it all back in its proper context. John chapter 7, verse 1. After these things, now you can go back and look at what happens in John 6. Jesus walked in Galilee, for he would not walk in Jewry because the Jews sought to kill him. So they're out to kill him. I think that's the key. That's the clue that gives us all away. All right. They're out to kill him. All right. That means he'll be dead physically. Right. All right. They're going to kill him. Now the Jews' feast of tabernacle was at hand. So now there's the big, it's the Jewish feast. Please note, even the text says, now the Jews' feast of tabernacle was at hand. what the previous verse, he's not walking in Jewry because they're trying to kill him. The Jews are trying to kill him. Now, this is the text even tells you this is the feast where all the Jews are going to go. Well, he's not walking there. Why? Because they're trying to kill him. His brethren said unto him, Depart hence, go into Judea, that the disciples also may see the works that thou doest. For there is no man that doeth anything in secret, and he himself seeketh to be known openly. If thou do these things, show thyself to the world. For neither did his brethren believe in him. They don't believe in him. So come on, go show yourself. Go show yourself. Go demonstrate everything to everyone. Come on, go do it. Well, if he goes and tries to show himself to everyone, John chapter 7, verse 1 seems to indicate he's going to be killed. And it's not time for him to be killed. That seems to be the way to understand this. And then look at verse 6. Then Jesus said unto them, My time is not yet come. What time is that referring to? I'm going to argue that is referring to his crucifixion. My time is not yet come. Now, look for that phrase in the Gospels. My time has come. My time has not yet come. And see how Jesus uses that and see if he ever uses that directly in correlation to his crucifixion. If it is, then he has referenced his time here that he's referencing. It's not my time to be crucified. It's not time yet to die. My ministry is not on this earth is still not complete. All right? The world cannot hate you, but me it hateth, because I testify of it that the works therefore are evil. See, it's not my time. And what does he immediately refer to it to? The hatred of the world. Who hates him right now? The Jews. What do they want to do? Kill him. His time is not yet come. Verse 8, you go up unto the feast. I go not up. I'm not going to put the word yet there because people say it doesn't belong. I go not up unto this feast, for my time is not yet full come. I can't go up to the feast the way with everyone else because I will end up being killed, right? So then look what happens, verse 9. When he had said these words unto them, he abode still in Galilee. But when his brethren were gone up, then went he also up unto the feast, not openly, but as it was written, as it were in secret. Now, there's a lot we could do here. Remember how everyone talks about with COVID, hey, faith over fear, faith over fear, faith over fear. Here's Jesus, the eternal Son of God, well, using discernment here, using caution. He didn't just, hey, faith over fear, I'll just walk in there and then boom. No, he doesn't seem to do it. Why not? Why does he not do that? Because Christianity is not devoid of common sense. I don't like that. That's an interesting passage from that perspective. All right. Then the Jews sought him at the feast and said, Where is he? And there was much murmuring among the people concerning him. For some said he is a good man, others say nay, but he deceiveth the people. Howbeit no man spake openly of him for fear of the Jews. See, people are afraid to speak openly because they know the Jews are out to kill him. That's why I can't go up to this feast, not because my time has not come. And what he means is I can't go up in the same way. I can't just go up and make myself known as his brothers just challenged him to do because they did not believe in him. They were basically trying to, come on, go show yourself. We don't believe you, but go show yourself. Verse 14, and now about the midst of the feast, Jesus went up into the temple and taught. So about the middle of the feast, he goes up to the temple to teach. And the Jews marveled, saying, How knoweth this man letters, having never learned? Jesus answered them, saying, My doctrine is not mine, but is him that sent me. And I'm looking here. Now this gets, okay, I'm going to stop right there. This even gets more. Read the rest. Look, this is very interesting. Look at verse 30. So he continues to teach, right? Look at verse 25. He begins to teach, verse 25. Verse 20, they get upset. The people answered and said, Thou hast a devil. Who goeth about to kill thee? So they think, they don't know what he's talking about. They don't know what's going on. And in verse 25, then said some of them of Jerusalem, Is this not he whom they seek to kill? So some people were seeking to kill him. Is it possible that he waited until whoever was some of the people that were trying to kill him, had they already departed? Because he ultimately goes in and shows himself So he didn't at first and then at a specific time. Why? And then verse 26, but lo, he speaketh boldly, and they say nothing unto him. Do the rulers know indeed that this is the very Christ? Howbeit we know this man whence he is, but when Christ cometh, no man knoweth whence he is. Then cried Jesus in the temple, as he taught, saying, you both know me, and you know whence I am. I am not come of myself, but he that sent me is true, whom ye know not. But I know him, for I am from him, and he hath sent me. Then they sought to take him, but no man laid hands on him, because his hour was not yet come. What a crazy text. Hey, you go, I can't go. My time's not yet. They go, he waits, he shows up in secret, he keeps it in secret. Then at a specific time, he goes into the temple to teach. Then they get to grab onto him, but they don't grab onto him because his time was not yet. So if his time was not yet, then why was he worried about? This text raises all kinds of questions. All kinds of questions. How do you answer? I think we've answered it partially, but what gets weird is he ultimately, and see on the radio program, they didn't even bother to go into all of this. See, supposedly they answered their question. Their answer was, you know how sometimes someone asks you if you're hungry, if you're going to eat, and you say no, and in a couple hours you're eating. Were you lying? No, you were saying you were not going to eat right then. It doesn't mean you weren't going to go later. Well, why would he not? He clearly would not go at a specific time in a specific way because he knew they were going to kill him. Later he shows up. Now it seems, verse 25, then said some of them of Jerusalem. That's interesting. Then said some of them of Jerusalem, is not this he whom they seek to kill? So is he saying there's some in Jerusalem who seek to kill him? Like, okay, why did he go to the temple? But then they try to lay hands, but his hour was not yet come. And many of the people believed on him and said, when Christ cometh, will he do more miracles than these which this man hath done? Then the Pharisees heard the people murmur such things concerning him, and the Pharisees and the chief priests sent officials to take him. Then and then you can go on and read what happens. So Jesus, okay, you go, I can't go. My time has not yet come. Now, my time has not yet come clearly refers to his death, him being killed. John 7:1 shows that the Jews are trying to kill him. So he seems to be saying, I can't go because it's not time for me to die, and I can't go up the way you're going to go. So you go the way you're going to go, because I guess what Jesus is saying, going up that way at that time, he would end up being killed. So then he doesn't go. He goes, then he at some point, we don't know, maybe we could figure out the time frame here. Trying to figure out the time frame about how long he waited. That would be interesting. How long did he wait? Then he goes up secretly. He even then he keeps it secret. Then, when does he go to the temple? Verse 14. Now about the midst of the feast. So about the middle of the feast. So we'd have to ask ourselves, how long did the Feast of Tabernacles last? How long did the Feast of Tabernacles last? In the middle of it, he goes into the temple to teach. And then they try to grab onto him, but they cannot because his time was not yet come. So why would you just not go up in the beginning? Yeah. So maybe the issue isn't did Jesus lie? Maybe the question here is, so exactly how do we put this all together? Now, I think the radio, they try to argue, well, maybe Jesus now is being led by God. Look, you can't try to answer a text by using something that the text doesn't mention. That's not a good answer. Well, maybe God the Father was telling him now it's to go up. You can't say that. The text doesn't say that. Something is interesting going on here. I challenge you to work on it. Let's do something here. Let me, I'm going to look at something here. I don't know if I can find it. Just give me 1 second. because now my mind is running 1,000,000 miles a second. Now I'm trying to think this through because I'm like, what is going on here? Okay, give me a second here. Give me 1 second. There's tabernacle. All right, we need to see feasts. Okay, let me look up feasts. I just happened to see a Bible dictionary laying here on the table. So I'm just going to look something up really quick. It just seems weird that he doesn't go, then he goes into the temple, he teach, and then when the people want him, they can't grab him because it's not his time. Well, if nobody can get him until it's time, then why would there be a problem at the beginning? Okay, Feast of Tabernacles. All right, Feast of Tabernacles. A reference to the Feast of Tabernacles in the Bible includes Exodus 23:16, 34:22, Leviticus 23:33-36, 39-43, Numbers 29:12-32, Deuteronomy 16:13-16, Ezra 3:4, Zechariah 14:16, 18-19. The festival was observed on the 5th day of the 7th month to celebrate the completion of the autumn harvest. Features of the celebration included a holy convocation on the 1st and 8th days, and the offering of many animal sacrifices. The Israelites were also commanded to live in booths made of palm and willow trees during the festival to commemorate their period of wilderness wandering when they lived in temporary shelters. The feast is also known as the Feast of Booths. All right, so I'd have to look it up to know did it last for, yeah. Let me look here. I'm going to look something else up. Here. All right? Because it's very interesting here. 1 second. All right, how long was the Feast of Tabernacles? All right, the Feast of Tabernacles lasts 1 week. That's what I am finding here. Last 1 week. So in the middle of the week. So he goes into the temple. It appears in the midst of the feast. So if that's in the middle of the feast, day 3, right? Day 3 or 4, he goes into the temple. Why did he not go immediately? And again, if nobody could touch him until his time was, then why did he not go? Was it? I'll leave that to you. Now I know I know what you're thinking. This is weird. I never listened to a theology podcast where they ask more questions and they don't give me answers. I heard this. I thought we had found a good answer, right? I think it makes perfect sense when he says, hey, he's not lying. Hey, you go, my time is not yet, right? That makes sense. Then he goes. Clearly, it's not only is his time, he can't go up the way they want him to go to make a show. He doesn't want to go and make a spectacle. He's not want to go at that time. But then he does go. Then he shows up in the midst of the feast and goes right into the temple and teach. So was it not his time? In what way? Was it about his death? Or is it about making a public spectacle at the time? You can tell me what you think. You can work on this. You can email me at newsif@yahoo.com. newsif@yahoo.com. I think we can be dogmatic that clearly this text does not indicate that he's lying. I think what's bizarre about the text is not going up and then going right into the temple, and then they're unable to grab onto him because his time has not yet come. Then what was he worried about in the first part? When I'm say worried, why did he not go up in the first place? It looked like he was using some common sense here. The people want to kill him. But then he goes right into the temple. I don't know. I'll wait and see what you can come up with. You can email me at newsif@yahoo.com, newsif@yahoo.com. All right, I'll stop right there. Everyone have a great evening. I'm going to head home. All right. Thanks for listening. God bless.